Okay.
Live. Let's just check.
Do you want me to?
There we are. Yes. Might just
Okay.
have to refresh the screen, Janine, to get it back up again.
I just realised that.
Yeah. So just to let everyone know what we're doing, we're sharing the link to all our perspective socials. So we're
Yeah.
just getting techie stuff out of the way.
Jolly. Well, I'm very proud of myself because I've just done it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Love that.
Me too.
So I guess I will begin by saying welcome everyone to She's of Love and welcome Janine. We're so honored to have you on the show today. So I'm not sure if Mum has already kind of briefed you, but whenever we have a new guest, the topic is always about their awakening story and kind of how they got into spirituality and also just what they do now and the work and their passions and all that kind of fun stuff. So luckily we have an hour to talk about it because it's a very big topic. So I guess I'll begin by asking you what your awakening story is. When did you wake up and how did it happen and kind of what was the story of how you got into where you are today?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you, Juliet, and thank you, Claudia, for the invitation to be here and share my heart story with both you beautiful ladies and with any other beautiful heart that comes on and is part of this. So thank you, thank you. So, okay, my awakening story is that I was born awake. So there's never been ever a moment in my life where I didn't realize that I was a being way beyond the physical representation, that I didn't fit in this heavy, dense world, that my body heart awareness, my feelings were far, far more important than my thinking mind. And my thinking mind showed me all the time by completely screwing up very easily. So like my mind goes into chaos if I have to do something deeply intellectually challenging or, you know, I'm in the surface layer of life and there's just that mundane type of conversation, you know, it's like, yes, I just don't become present. I'm, you know, disappeared. So right from the tiniest child and all the way through, I was aware that I could read the energy field. I could read emotions inside people. I could feel what they were feeling and realized very, very tiny that their conversations, their words, more often than not, did not match what they were holding inside themselves. And sometimes an adult would utilize that by asking me what so-and-so was feeling when they were saying such and such. And if it was what they wanted to hear, I'd get a pat on the back. And if it wasn't what they wanted to hear, I'd get a clip around the ear. So, you know, you learn very, very early to keep it to yourself, you know. And during my life, when people find out that I can do this, I call myself a energy interpreter, just because that gives people an awareness that I do have this ability. But some people do get a little awkward around it. They want to hide. They don't like the idea. But I never judge. I never, ever judge what I'm feeling inside another, because at the core of every single one of us, we're exactly the same. We are the purity of love here experiencing ourselves in a physical, tangible reality. So it doesn't matter how we present. It doesn't matter what experiences we've been through. It doesn't matter whether we were a murderer. It doesn't matter what those experiences are, because on the highest level of us, there is no right or wrong. There is no light and dark. There is no heavy and light. So that is all just human perception. That is all our mind. So what I feel, I hold to myself 99% of the time. And that's just the world I live in. So from a very early age, I was very, very lucky. I was born into a family that taught me great love physically. So Dad was a wonderful provider. He was a very strong, solid man. And, the roof over the head, the food on the table. He did that Kiwi bloke or Australian bloke type role in the family. He was the king of the castle. And Mum was the most gentle, beautiful, loving mother you could imagine. So I had the security and I had the love. And Mum taught me all about how it feels to be deeply loved by another and how to laugh, really laugh. We would belly laugh together. And to this day, I still belly laugh very loudly, much to my children's embarrassment if we're out anywhere public. I can't help myself. If it tickles my fancy, then the whole world hears about it. Anyway, I love to laugh. I love to laugh as much as I love love. But anyway, so as well as that, my world has always been overlaid with many other worlds from the word go. It didn't creep in all of a sudden. It was always there that I would have beautiful beings in other worlds that are absolutely the purity of love. And so when they come to me, when I was little, when they would play with me and we'd delight together, and they'd call me out into the sunshine to play under a tree or something like that when I should have been in the classroom concentrating. Out I'd go in my light body and then get a piece of chalk or a duster thrown at me, because it looked like, it always appeared I was in a deep, deep dream, but really I wasn't in that painful classroom being robotized into the societies of this world. So so I learned love from multi-layers, multi-realities, all the way through my life. And then as I grew, when I became the teenager, I became the rebel. And I really rebelled for years because I didn't like the density of this world. I especially didn't like the rules and regulations. And because I wasn't a fit, I rebelled against it, and I partied and I played up, and any way that I could push back against, I did that. And then I matured, became a young mum, and that kind of brought me back and grounded me. And I found my first spiritual group when I was 19. And I walked in the doors of that group and felt like I'd come home. For the first time in my entire life, I felt like people saw me. You see, I had great love in my family, but nobody was in my world. So, Mum absolutely adored me, but she didn't really get me. Dad didn't get me at all, and there was quite a bit of friction between us because of that. He lived in the black and white box. If your hand couldn't touch it and your eye couldn't see it, it did not exist. When you died, you went into the ground and the spiders and the worms ate you. This is his story, he told me. But for me, I lived anywhere but inside that box. So I was in the multicolored world around that box. And so we could never meet on any common ground in that way. But what he did do was, he pushed me so hard to try to mold me into his world that I dug my heels in and just grew in my power and my strength. and have since realized in my early adult life that he was one of my guides actually physically here in my life. And his role was to build that strength in me so that I could face a world that didn't understand and I'd be fine. And I faced a world for years that didn't understand, that didn't get it, and I was always fine. So deep, deep gratitude to my father there, and deep, deep gratitude to my mother for all that she brought in the softness, she brought in the heart, she brought in those pieces, you know. So my parents, I chose well. There were many times in my youth I wouldn't have said that, but I say that with deep love, deep love.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was just going to say I feel similarly with with me when you were talking about the dynamic between you and your parents. It reminds me of me and my mum. So
That's
yeah.
tangibly felt. That is so tangibly felt. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, beautiful. So my world's overlaid, and they've overlaid all my life, and so there's always been beautiful beings, and there's always been the Diva Kingdom, the elementals, the nature elementals, the all the fantasy creatures that have been put into storybooks and created into fairy tales that are actually been written to scare children. When we look at those fairy tales, all those creatures are true. They've all come from realities outside this physical realm. So I learned very, very young that when I had a vivid imagination, and you know, Dad would say to me, "It's just imagination, girl, for God's sake, get real." Wow, Dad, he now knows, now that he's in his expanded form, that real is our imagination. That when my imagination would fire, it's like I'd get really excited because I knew straight away I was moving into one of the other worlds. And I was walking in a forest one day, and this was the very first encounter I had with many beautiful, beautiful, incredible animals. And I was walking in this forest, and then I felt the imagination start to go. And it's like when you might see on a movie, and you on the movie you see somebody going into a realm, and it's like so the outside around starts to yep. So that's what would start to happen. It's like oh, something's about to happen. And then I saw this little hill in the middle of the forest, and on the top of that hill there must have been, I don't know, at least 100 animals of all shapes and sizes, all colors. And there was the most gigantic lion. So when The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe came out on the movies, and there's this huge big lion in there, I just cried, because that lion had been with me since my childhood, you know. Like when he walked beside me, he was up to my chest, like right up to my chest. He was a big, big lion. And so I had all these beautiful animals in that. And so from that moment on, every time I went for a walk in the forest, I'd take my dog in the forest, these animals would just greet me, and we'd all walk as a huge pack, and we'd sit, and they'd come with me, they'd sit on me, they'd, you know, and to somebody else walking past, they wouldn't see anything. There wouldn't be a single thing for them to see, because I had morphed into this other reality. And so that, you know, there was an overlay there, and we were all one. And so one of the pieces that I'm supporting people with today is to show them that by raising their vibration, these worlds become real. So it's only because every single world is right here, right now. It's nowhere else. It's right here in this very wide bandwidth. There's all these frequencies, all these timelines within us, and all these frequencies. And these worlds exist, and all we have to do is bring ourselves up in vibration, and there the world is. It just comes into view around us. So because I had this ability all through my 20s, starting from my 20s and moving all the way through from there, people started to change in front of me. So this was a relatively new thing when it first started happening. And it happened with, I was sitting talking to a lady one day, and she changed from this beautiful lady right in front of me into a lady that looked like she had very advanced stage 4 cancer. And I'm sitting right there like, this is completely consciously seen. And I'm just sitting there, I'm saying to myself, don't stare, Janine, don't stare, don't make it obvious, anything obvious. And I asked her how she was feeling, and she said she was fine, and she's chatting away, and I couldn't get over what I was seeing. So I excused myself for a moment, and I went out and I pulled in communication, and I said, what am I seeing? And they said, dear one, you're seeing a potential if she carries on from where she is at this moment. I said, do I let her know this? They said, yes, you do. That's why you're seeing it. So for the first time, I went back in and explained what I was seeing, and she got upset. And then I said, it's a potential. It's not reality. So I said, you're being offered a chance here now to make a change in yourself. And so it started happening regularly after that. But then I started feeling a slight difference in it, and it's like other beings started coming through people. So it's like people started showing me who they were, or the aspect that was in the body and where it came from and what it looked like. So there's all manner of beings out there in all the worlds, all the civilizations, I can tell you, but they'd just morph. They'd stay for a moment, a few seconds, and then they'd come back into the human form again. And walking down the street, I would feel it before, and I'd go, oh, somebody's about to walk past. And they'd walk past me on the street, and they'd morph, and then they'd just carry on walking as the human again. And sometimes they would look at me and smile, and other times it was like they weren't even aware of me. So, and I found out that the reason I had this ability now was so that I became aware of how many beings are actually here in this realm right now, us included, that are in the human form, and we're all here together. It's a mixture, melting pot of incredibleness, you know. So beyond that, of course, we are pure source, we are soul, we're pure source. But we have all these threads out into other aspects of us right in this now moment that are living life right now. And we can thread into these, and we can bring these in and out. And as we are opening more and more to ourselves now, bringing in more of our soul energy, rising in vibration and starting to see these other worlds, we're also able to thread into these other parts of ourselves that are experiencing in their own way right now, and we are able to utilize those parts. Like we may be a being in some civilization where we have an absolute incredible ability to something, so we'll be able to utilize that. This is us coming into the wholeness, the oneness of ourself in the new world. We'll be able to utilize that here. So, and we will be transparent to each other by that stage too. So we'll be able to see the morphing, the merging with other aspects of ourselves. You know, there's so much to this world in this now moment that is only just starting to reveal itself. And there's so much to come, even though there's no future, but the future now, which is already here forming, is there's so much magic, mystical experiences, you know? Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
Judy. Yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, I haven't.
That what you've just described about us being able to access the different selves in all the different dimensions and all the different points in time to bring those qualities into our life here. That's exactly what that movie is about.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing film. It's really mind expanding. So when you're
Yes.
watching it, you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Because some parts of it are really hard to understand. But
Yes.
what you just described is essentially the premise of the film and what happens to this particular lady in the film. She's
Oh,
able to access herself in different dimensions.
yeah.
And if she's a karate expert in one dimension, she can do amazing karate in that moment that she needs it, like because she's being chased by someone, or
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's what it's about. It's amazing.
Absolutely. You know, the team said to me years ago, I was moaning and grizzling because I had people coming around for dinner and I don't like being in the kitchen. I don't like that sort of thing. And the team said to me, dear one, just call in the powerful, creative cook that you are on another level. So I did that, and oh, what a creation that I did. But it was kind of like I did it, I was on autopilot, like but I
Yep.
was fully present as well. But I realized then that I can do that, any of us can do that anytime. And it's not just an aspect of us here. We're now calling in who we are in all these different realms and realities, because we all know that we're coming into oneness now, and people believe that that oneness is coming back just purely to source, but purely to source energy. But we're coming back into the oneness of ourself on every level. So every part of us that's out there living a life is able to come into the conscious point of us right here in this now moment. And as we open into this, and as we raise in our vibration and start to realize the worlds that overlay each other here, we start to see it for ourselves. We'll trust in ourselves more. We'll believe more, and bring it. That just brings it in even more, So it's a fabulous time that we're moving into. When I was a little girl, I saw energy beautifully, especially at nighttime. So during the day, I'd feel it. And I always knew that there was no such thing as space. There's no space between me and my chair in the middle of the lounge. There's no such thing. It's all the field of pure energy. And there's nothing solid. It's all just vibrations, some tightly packed atoms and some very loose and scattered atoms, but it's all vibration. And I knew all this innately. And at night time, I'd lie on my bed and I'd play with the energy. It was always a fabulous game that I just loved. So I realized that with my mind, and this is my quantum mind, not my thinking mind, I could change the color of the energy. So I'd make it sparkling, and I'd make it golden, and I'd make it reds, and then I could change it from star patterns to ladders and to squares and to rounds. And so I'd just be playing with it, and then I could put my hands in it and manipulate it and swirl it around. And if I got scared during the night, I'd immediately bring it in as a gold blanket, and it would just wrap around me. I did it all the time if I was ever nervous, because I often had, being deeply sensitive and having beautiful beings, I often had a scattering of those that I could feel that weren't there with their love and light. So they were just moseying around, and I'd feel them. And so I'd wrap this beautiful golden blanket around me, and I was always very, very safe. But my childhood was vastly different to a normal childhood. And at one stage, I was a little sad about the fact that I felt quite alone. And the team showed me this, because I'm a visionary, of course, with my imagination, but deep vision. They showed me that I was this beautiful, tall, slender, graceful, purple flower like a poppy. And I was swaying in this garden of a whole paddock of green, squat cabbages. They didn't move. They were just sat there, green and squat, low to the ground. And they said, "This is you, dear one, with all your friends and family." Well, I loved that so much. Like I remember clapping and laughing, that I've carried that image ever since. And often I will look out, this is a little bit of a judgment, but I will look out at people and I think, low squat cabbages.
Yeah.
I grow into tall, slender, graceful poppies.
Yeah. I wanted to add something that you were saying before about the aspects of self and how it's all one, and we can pull from any which version of ourselves. And I really I wanted to add to that, because I do something similar where I'll contact my future self. Like if I'm in a place where I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to get out of this situation. I feel hopeless. I feel down. Then I'll like contact my future self that's out of it, or like that's like 2 years ahead, or however long it is, 3 months or something. And then I'll like journal, because I contact things best when I'm like writing and channeling them through writing. And yeah, and it's like insane the messages that I receive, and just it's very much like in that same thing that you were saying with pulling different from different aspects of yourself and using them in every moment. And I to help you, you know, with whatever you're doing. And I think it's a superpower that everyone has, like whether it's your future self or your chef self when you need to cook.
Yeah.
It's like a tool belt that you carry for every occasion. And I just really agree with that.
No,
So, yeah.
yeah, yes, you get it completely, Juliet. You know, when I was a tiny baby, I've said this story before, so some of the listeners will have heard this, but when I was a tiny baby, I was just a few months old, I was in my bassinet. And I remember waking up one night and I was really upset and I felt like I couldn't move. And my mother had made these little sacks that she put around me to keep my hands in so I wouldn't scratch my face like babies do. And anyway, and I was like, oh, I can't move in the sack. I can't move in the sack. But really, I couldn't move in the body. For some reason, I was feeling really constricted in my body. Then I felt this presence coming, and I felt this presence moving across the room. I always knew where presence were in the room at any time throughout my entire childhood, even before I could see them. I knew where they were and where they were coming from. And so this presence came across the room and leant over me, and it was the most beautiful, beautiful, angelic being. And it leant over me, and it just touched me. And I remember this tingling, this settling, this softening, and this completely relaxed place where I just went to sleep immediately. And I've met that beautiful angelic being many times as I grew up, and that is what you would call a future me. You know, and another time with that beautiful angelic being was when I was about 4, and I was really upset being a sensitive child, and I was sitting in a corner of a room, and I was all curled up, and I was crying my heart out. And then I felt this presence, and I sort of looked up, and this beautiful angelic being that I know that had scooped me up in its arms many times, and many times after that as well, came across and scooped me up. And I was always held in these beautiful, beautiful arms and held by this heart. And then it was like I would morph into the heart of love. And it's like I'd just go to sleep then. So then I realized one day that my conscious point was in that beautiful angelic being, and that was me supporting myself all the way through my childhood. So that leads me into the fact that there is no linear time. There is no past and there is no future. And that is simply part of this matrix reality here for us to believe that. There is only this now moment, and every aspect of us, every part of us, every version that we have been and will be on this particular timeline is all here in this now moment. So your future self, Juliet, is actually alive and well right now, as you know. You know, it doesn't come from the future, or you don't come from the future. You come from the future now. So you know, our new world that we are forming right now, a lot of us have actually come from that world to this reality, to support this reality into its rapid movement into that version of itself. And so, but it's all right now, you know, and with the thinking mind, it can never, ever be comprehended. You know, we have to just listen and allow ourselves to go into that deep expansiveness, that spaciousness within our bodies, within our body heart awareness. And it's there that we start to get an understanding of how everything is right now in this moment, and there is nothing else. You know, so every version, every part, every aspect, and we have many, many versions as we're moving through the timeline of our life. You know, we're morphing, shifting, changing into new versions all the time, but we're all still right there in that moment doing our thing, you know. And as time travelers, and as multidimensional beings, we'll be able to, with conscious knowing, go back to, or go forward, or go back or forward in the now moment to any one of those versions at any time. We can alter something. We can do that now, but a lot of people don't realize that yet. So we can alter something, and we can change an entire timeline of our own life, nobody else's, but of our own life, by changing a moment back. It can be done. And we never have a memory of it, though. Life is very different then in the now moment, but we don't have a memory of how it was before, because it's all altered. So, and that's to a certain extent. That is not fully. That is to a certain extent we can change and alter. We can let go of something that may have held us down in what we would term the past, that has coloured our life since that moment. We can go back to that point and alter what it was. It may have been deep grief or regret or guilt or something like that, or shame. Those are the ones that really can change the flavour of our life for an entire lifetime. We can alter that in the moment that it's set into us and have a completely different life experience. You know, we are so incredibly, amazingly powerful beings that there's absolutely no way our thinking mind can even come close to comprehending it at this stage. We just have to grow into ourselves. You know, that's what we're doing. We have to grow into ourselves. We get a realization, and we get an aha happening regularly. And there's another piece that's just come in. There's another bit that's just come, you know. This is how we're coming back online fully with the magnificence.
Wow.
Very true.
Now that it's so funny, because when you're talking, all these movies keep popping into my head, because what you're describing, I just watched a movie like 2 days ago. It was called The Greatest Hits, if you're interested to watch it. And it's about a girl who can go back. She had an accident. She was in a coma, and it gave her the ability to go back through the memory of song. So if she played a song, and she would be able to be transported back to that time in her life when she first heard that song.
Wow.
And change something about her life in that moment.
Yeah.
So what you're describing.
These are great movies you're giving me. Thanks, Claudia.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's called The Greatest Hits.
Yeah, I've written it down.
Yeah, and it's describing exactly what you're talking about. It in the movie, it describes it perfectly, and how she does it, and the fact that it's possible. And I truly believe that a lot of movies will tell us the truth in story form, packaged as imagination, packaged as a fantastical story. So people then have the choice, well, that's not real. They have the choice to say to themselves, that's not really real life, because it's so far removed from what my life is and what I experience in my life. But I like to see them as planting seeds.
Yes.
Because when I watch them, I think, wow, I wonder if that is possible. And when I ask myself the question, the answer always comes, because you're telling me now that is actually possible.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I find when I ask, particularly at this point in time, when I ask a question, the answer always comes.
100%.
Yeah.
And it comes in the body heart awareness. So it doesn't come via any mind. We ask the question, and the answer is always already there. We're feeling it in our body before we've even finished asking the question. I say to people, if you leave a gap waiting for the answer, your mind comes in and answers it. Your body heart awareness always answers before the question is even finished being asked. So you know, and it never puts us wrong, never, because this is the heart of us. This is our communication center with our soul self. This is our portal through into the universe, because that's how we access the universe, is through ourselves. It's not out there where we've been told. It's not in outer space. There's nothing out there. That's a blank screen that's been pretend. It's all inside ourselves, when we come down and we go in and through to access everything that we want to access. You know, people are always looking to the skies for UFOs, for visitations and landings through UFOs. Well, the only UFOs really that are out there are the ones that have been created here by those that have agendas that aren't for our highest good out there in the world. All the beings I've ever met in my entire life and been with, they just step in. They just step in from their own vibrational realm to our vibrational realm, because the higher can move down to the lower, but the lower can't move up to the higher. So, you know, they're all here. They're around us now.
Yes.
But that'll be something for the future that will be found out.
I'd love to have that conversation. So I think for me, today, the most potent message, because we've spoken a lot about a lot of things, but I think for me, the most potent message is when you said that it's not out there. Out there is a blank screen. It's a program in the matrix that tells us that it's not in here, that we should look outside ourselves, which is the complete opposite of the truth.
Yes.
Where everything is accessible within ourselves.
100%.
So that the direction we should be going isn't looking outside ourselves, it's looking within. And I shared a meme recently in my group that said, inside is not a direction, inside is a dimension.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's so true, that we can, if we start to believe it, if we can start to explore it, if we can start to trust it and believe it, that we hold the universe within us, all the capabilities within us, instead of looking outside ourselves to look within, that is a good start. That's like the first step to everything in your life.
100%.
Yeah.
100% agree with everything you've just said, Claudia. It's the journey is inward. The 100% of the journey is inward. The external is showing up in its darkness, and its transparent darkness now, simply as a support to push us inward.
Yeah.
You know, but so many people, like we all put a hand up for the roles that we're playing in this lifetime. And blessings and gratitude to those that are playing the dark, because without them, there wouldn't be such a rapid awakening happening here. You know, we'd just be plodding on, you know, in a world where the mind is firmly believed it's the most powerful part of us. But, you know, so we have this play going on in really an illusional reality that really doesn't even exist apart from how we create it for ourselves. And that's a projection of what we are and what we're holding. It is a co-creation with 8 billion other souls here on this planet. So, you know, it's just absolutely incredible. And when we start to realize that our heart is the portal through and the communication center, and that our body is the radar antenna of the field here. So people so forget their bodies. You know, they may drop from their mind to their heart and back up and down, but they completely forget these incredible bodies that were designed to hold magnificent beings. And even though the body's been tampered with, it's been hijacked, it's been genetically modified many times through with many different civilizations, it's coming back online now in an even greater, more magnificent way than it ever was, even as the original blueprint. it's coming back even more than that, because and it won't be as solid as it is now. From what I've been shown, it's going to be a lot more fluid. We're going to know that we're going to be able to be seen as light beings. We'll be a little transparent. We'll be very moving, flowing, flexible, so, but we will still have form. We will still have form, but we will be able to come and go. So there's no death in the future. Well, there's no death now. I mean, we've never died and we never will. We're eternal beings, but there's no death of the body now, because that's all part of the matrix as well. So in the future times, as we're moving right now, we just come and go with these beautiful, etherically golden flowing bodies. We just come and go. We move through the dimensions and the worlds, and we're here for a while. We love it here. We enjoy it. We have a life here or two, and then we just move somewhere else, and we experience that, and then we may come back 100 years later. We may pop back here, and so this is what they've showed me is going to be us in the future. And that's a concept that would be quite hard for a lot of people to understand, but I can feel it. Like I've kind of seen it. They've shown it to me in vision, and often in vision I'm actually right there. So I step into the vision and I'm the observer and I'm the experiencer. So I'm in two places in the vision. And so yes, it's all about the inner journey. 100%, Claudia, what you said before, it's all about the inner journey, because real is inside, is found within us. Unreal is everything that's out there around us. And a lot of people can say, how can you say it's unreal when we tangibly experience it? We're actually going through it. We're feeling it. No, that's there to support you to come in and know yourself. That's there to show you what's within you that may need your attention, your focus right now. It's showing up for a reason around you always, to bring you in to your feelings, to your body, heart awareness, where you can be in the flow of yourself and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What is this that's coming up in me? Why have I got fear to what I'm seeing happening there across the road? So it's not about what's happening over there, but it's me standing here with fear in me. What's that about? This is what the outside screen is for. So it's all designed to bring us in. Sorry, Juliet.
No.
Oh, I thought you.
No, I mean, I never apologize for talking. I'm receiving so much from you, and yeah, I guess I just really, really agree with what you're saying. So I'm like,
Oh.
yeah.
I thought I could go off onto tangents at times. I get very passionate in my flow, and sometimes I've got to stop to let somebody else say something.
No,
your tangents are amazing.
yeah,
we are feasting on the things that you're telling us, because it's
yeah,
I think what's happening for me, and I'll speak for myself, is that it feels like there are these feelings that I have been having all my life that you are now confirming.
Yeah.
It's like these codes were coming up in me over the years, and now listening to you speak, they're sparking. It's like, yes, that's what I was feeling. Yes, that's what that was. Like when you said that you were in the kitchen and you pulled in that aspect of yourself from another dimension to help you in that moment. I've been able to do that in my life to a certain degree. I won't say that it was, I wasn't performing brain surgery and things like that, but there were times when I was in a position where I needed to know what to do, and it was a very scary situation, and I went into my body, because that was the only place I could go in that situation, and drew out something within me that helped me in that moment. And I never analyzed it. It wasn't like I ever sat down and really thought about what happened and how I was able to access those knowings in myself. But now listening to you talk and hearing you explain it, I'm like, that's what happened to me. That was the feeling that I had in my body when it was going on. I accessed something that I needed in that moment to help me, and that's how I got out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so listening to you is like activating these knowings in my body and in my heart that, oh, that's what that was, and that's how I did that. And they were just happenings in my life that I never really analyzed.
Yes.
I always just felt like I was lucky in that moment, perhaps, if you know what I mean.
There's no such
Whereas,
thing as luck.
exactly. And now I'm realizing that actually, no, I was accessing something from my knowledge base
Yes.
that I needed in that moment to get me out of that situation, because I've had some fantastical things happen to me in my life, and I got through them. And a lot of the reasons I got through them was because of myself, because of the things that I was doing in that moment. So yeah, it's just a huge confirmation listening to you, that that's that's exactly what happened. I was accessing parts of myself that I needed in that moment. Yeah.
There you go. I always say to people, I will never share, especially in my one-on-one consultations, I always say, I'll never tell you anything you don't already know.
Yeah.
All I do is activate it or trigger it and plant the seed of it.
Yeah.
And because we all know everything, it's already there inside us.
Mm.
What I'd like to share right now is about love, because love is who I am. Love is who all we are. And I call myself a messenger for love, because I'm supporting people to come back into that deepest truth in themselves. And like, love is not an emotion, and it can be thought of as lust, which of course it is not. Love is not a need. It is not a want. It is the innate truth of us. It's the fabric of this universe. It is the creative flow through everything. And when we start to come inward and we start to tap into this depth within us where this purity is found in every one of us, we only have to just start feeling it, and we want more of it. Then we start coming from it in our life, and we want to do it more, because the feeling of being in it, and the feeling of living our life from it, and the feeling of our interactions when our heart, when we're fully aware of our heart of love, meets another heart that's wide open and knows itself too, those bonds of connection are so deep. It's like we're seeing each other for the first time on a whole new level. And this is what's happening now around the world, as people are meeting online, as they're meeting in person. It's like we communicate with our words, we communicate with our eyes, but the very first part of us that ever comes into connection and communication is our heart space. So our bodies come in first, and vibrationally we form this energetic bubble of deliciousness, I call it, around us. And then within that, we communicate via the human words, and we always communicate with the eyes. So there's always messages going between the eyes as well. But people are so tied up in their thoughts and what they're going to say next, and their fears. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to be here. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't want to do this. And all that they never realize the exquisite beauty of the field of love that is always flowing around them, that comes from deep within them and outward. And so this is the journey now in our awakening. We're awakening to ourselves as beings of the purity stream and the gold frequency of love. So, and that will be our coloring in the future, will be beautiful, soft, golden hue that some people can see in auric fields now. It's gone from colours to more of a soft golden hue, but this will be our colour transparently right through. It'll be our colour completely. So we'll start to notice that more and more in the coming years. And the other part also is that we all have a choice right now. We have a choice to have our focus out there on the external world, to go into all the stories, to relay them, to play them, to converse, to exchange, to believe. And that will be our reality, because that's what we are as creative beings. So if our focus is out there on everything that's happening with our governments and the global narrative, then that will come at us and really bombard our life in a big way. If we come inward and we start to discover the purity of ourselves and the love that we are, we start to realize that we're actually we're nature itself. We are beings of nature. We're not in nature. We are nature. Every
Yeah.
element of us is an element of nature,
Yeah.
and even when our soul essence leaves our organic body, our soul essence actually goes back into nature. It doesn't go to any realm or heaven, or it goes into nature and stays right here. We become the elements again,
I find it so funny that when people talk about nature, when people talk about animals and all the land that aren't, I guess, spiritually connected, because nature is always talked about a separate thing. Like, we have to look after nature, we have to care for nature, we have to make sure that you know um that nature doesn't like turn on us, kind of thing. And I'm like, do you not realize that you are also an
nature.
animal? Yeah, you're nature. Like, this human body is also nature. And I feel like when you open yourself up to that, you see, I mean, the way that our skin is under a microscope looks like, just look at your body and you'll see the resemblance. Veins look like lightning. Your skin looks like, you know, the ground, like in a desert, almost like in a dried, cracked ground. If you look at your skin, it has those same patterns. I mean, in everything, there's like a connection to some part of nature. And all you have to do is look down and kind of think about it for a bit, and you'll see, yeah, that's so true. And we're so focused on, like, I think we're focused on the right thing, but we're thinking about it the wrong way. Like, yes, look after nature, but that also means looking after yourself and your body. And
That's yeah.
yeah, it goes all in one. It's all together. You can't look after nature and then go eat massive amounts of junk food every single day and say that you're looking after nature, because you're not looking after your body.
That's right.
So I don't know. I just think it's very ironic that we hold this, I don't know, this perspective that somehow we're different from anything else on the planet. And I definitely know that it's like a tactic, I think, used by, the education system and who everyone else up in the ranks of government, that, yeah, let's make them believe that they're actually not part of the planet, part of the ecosystem, part of, the forest, or, whatever, because we
We
are on
see
the food
ourselves as the
chain.
enemy, don't we? We see ourselves as
Yeah,
the enemy of nature at the moment.
We've
It's
been
a
yeah,
taught
narrative
that.
that's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been programmed into
Yeah.
believing that. So that's all part of the separation.
Yeah.
We're not a part of nature. We're separate from it all.
Yeah.
But when the body passes, it goes back to dust. Even if it's burnt, it still goes back to dust, whether it's put in the ground or burnt. And the rest of us, etherically goes back into all the elements of nature, until we want to reform again and do this sort of thing again. So, but that more and more people are realizing that now, that there is no other place that we go to that we've been told is a heavenly realm, and I could say here blah blah blah, because really, really, we're just realizing now that there's so much that we've been told that is an inverted truth.
Yes.
Well, 99% of what we've been told is an inverted truth. We have so much to turn inside out and upside down, and we get given an element of truth within something because our discernment meter then picks that little bit of truth up, and the rest could be completely untrue, but because our discernment bells haven't gone off, it's like in the past we've very easily believed so much of what we've been told. Well, it's not that way anymore. It's certainly not that way anymore. We're all coming back online with our intuition in a great way, our inner guidance, our using our bodies as the radar antenna and picking up information, and all our gifts, our telepathy, all our gifts are coming back. I call them gifts, but they're all parts of us. We're gifting back to ourselves. They're all coming back online now, and so yes, there's an element of concern out there with those that are playing the part of the dark ones, because we are firing up far too quickly, and there's too many of us, and they already know the writing is on the wall. They already know this. They're just going to play their part until they just run towards the edge of the cliff and throw themselves off. There won't be any stopping them until they self-destruct. But our light is getting brighter and brighter and brighter, expanding, expanding, expanding. And now in my visions, I see the new Earth grid is completely fired up, completely the brightest it's ever been. And every pinpoint of light on this planet whose heart is opening and who are rising into their deepest truth are a pinpoint of light into that new Earth grid. So we're bringing it into form, and it's already happened. I mean, we're already there having a wonderful life and come back to help bring it all through. So it's we've got so much to look forward to. And yes, we do have a bit of a heavy period coming up over the next 18 months or so. As the world really crumbles down, the external really crumbles down. But if we stand solid in our centeredness, if we are deeply in our growing truth, and we are letting our mind go more and more as we trust in our deepest feelings, if we are feeling love's presence within us greater every day and taking time out in stillness every day, even if it's only for 5 minutes, but taking time out of the busy distraction of life and coming into the stillness, because it's in stillness we meet ourselves. If we do that every day, then life will not have that outside, what's happening will not have as great an impact on us. We will find that we adapt easier, that there's more possibilities, potentials, opportunities that arrive for a more easily and graceful transition. You see, so we won't have the jagged bits to bang against. So, and it's everybody's choice, because some have chosen to be fully with that world, and they will depart over the edge of the cliff with that world, and that's okay. That's okay, because they'll just come back again. And we don't die.
Wow.
Oh,
Well,
Janine, it's been amazing talking to you. And this conversation actually has reminded me why we started doing this podcast, because we came out of something that was to us so dark in 2020. And we wanted to bring a message of hope. We wanted to bring the truth out into the world in our own unique way, between me and Juliet, like our mother-daughter flavor. because we went through that dark time together, and she was instrumental in my awakening story. Juliet was a massive part of bringing me questions and bringing her perspective into my consciousness that helped me to start asking questions that was like, yeah, because I was in that world fully. I was a flight attendant. I was working for a massive airline here in Australia, Qantas, and I
Yes.
was living my best life doing that job, and fully, 9/11 happened, and I was in the airline industry when that happened, and I saw the changes that happened in the airline industry after 9/11. And so I was fully in that perspective of, you know, things need to change. We've got to get security up and running, and we've got, like all these changes are all justified.
Yeah.
And having a child that brought me these questions like, Mum, have you noticed this? Mum, have you noticed that? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
Mm.
that seems crazy. To then having my own journey of discovery where I was offloading anger. I was doing anger releases because I had some frustrations in my life. And as I was offloading more and more of these layers of trauma and anger and what I would have called problems in my life, I became more and more sensitive
Yes.
to the world that you speak of.
Yeah.
And knowledge started to started to spark in me, and things, just the world then started to show me coincidences, and pieces of information were coming into my life here in the 3D
Mm.
that woke me up to what was going on. And that it was like a click, 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 click. All of these things clicked into place, and I became very aware of the truth.
Yeah.
And so, which is part of the reason why when we have somebody come onto the show for the first time, we ask them this same question, because of the experience that my daughter and I had together of awakening to the truth of what's going on in the world. And this journey that we're on now to connect in with ourselves, to connect in with other beautiful beings like yourself, to hear your point of view, that beam of light that you speak of, it's like a little glimpse into your beam of light, and bringing that information to others so that their beam of light can shine all the more
100%.
brightly.
Yeah.
And it just warms my heart and makes me feel that, this, what we're doing is, like, for me, it's fun. I love it. And hearing you speak just cements into my being all the things that I've experienced, and how fantastical and how amazing they are, even in the 3D, if they're considered to be scary things, or, you know, things that are like would break some people. I see them as things that have molded me to who I am today.
Yes.
And yeah, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you for reminding me.
It's been my pleasure. My pleasure. I see my role, my passion is to awaken hearts, even if it's just one at a time or in whole groups, whatever it is, or plant the seeds or trigger the memory or help
Yeah.
help the knowing rise. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on with us, Janine. I really appreciate your time and your
Yeah,
beauty.
thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah, you've got this incredible energy. Like, I don't know, you're just glowing. So Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for sharing your heart and your story. And I really resonated with every single word that you said. And you brought me a lot of clarity for my own time in this life, like for my own, like what I'm going through right now. And thank you for that. And I would love, well, we would both love for you to come on again if you would like to on the show.
Absolutely, would love to. Yes,
Awesome.
Okay,
it's
amazing.
very delicious in this bubble with both you beautiful-hearted ladies. So thank you.
Awesome.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for watching.
Mm.
So we'll see you next week, and Janine will see you whenever it ends up being.
Lots of love, everyone. Lots of love.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.